Hello and welcome. You're watching Ask BQ on Bloomberg Quint. I'm Agam Akhil.
Hi Agam, and I'm Alex Matthew. This show gets you answers to all your equity-related queries. You can send those to us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp, and you can also call us on 022-4540-4141. You can alternatively mail us on askbq@bloombergquint.com. Only make sure to add the AskBQ hashtag.
Right, before we get into individual queries, let's take a very quick look at the markets. Well, they're trending higher, about 0.5% gains for the Nifty as well as the Sensex, and the Nifty Banking Index also up as much as 0.2%. I reckon to a certain extent the pressure on the banking index will be on account of Yes Bank. So let's pull up the key gainers on the Nifty 50 at this point in time and see where the strength is coming from. That's Bharti Airtel right at the top, followed by HCL Technologies and Eicher Motors. Let's also take a look at the losers when it comes to the Nifty 50, and well, as I was suggesting, it is essentially Yes Bank that is bearing down on the Nifty Banking Index, down 7%, followed by India Bulls, Housing Finance also declining by 6%, and of course GSW Steel is the other counter which is putting some pressure when it comes to the indices. But on the whole, trending higher for the Nifty as well as Sensex, and the same for the Nifty Banking Index as well. Alex.
Okay, I think it might make sense, Agam, right on the top, because I'm sure that a lot of people will be wondering what to do with Yes Bank. So we'll get both the experts in first and then ask them what to do both for the long term as well as for the short term. We have with us Sharmila Joshi, who is an independent investment advisor, and we have Dyaneshwar Padwal of KIFS Securities. I'm going to start with the short term and with people who perhaps have already made trades and who are thinking of, based on the previous 3 days or 2 days, especially yesterday and today, how Yes Bank has moved. What should their strategy be?
See, good afternoon, Alex. If you look at the overall chart structure of Yes Bank, so recently we have seen that the stock has fallen from the level of 400 towards the 180, and it has managed to give the pullback towards the 260. Again, it has made a double bottom formation near about 180 level, but the double bottom formation candlestick, the pattern will get confirmed above the 280 level. So those who are get into the stocks right now, get out from the stocks, because we can see the probably level of 180, and if bears manage to take out the 180 level, so we probably see the downward moves towards the 150 level also.
Okay, but Sharmila, just
right. So I wasn't going to go to Sharmila. Sharmila, I know that we spoke about Yes Bank yesterday as well. I reckon that you'd still stay put, at least when it comes to the long-term view of Yes Bank is concerned.
Yes, so I think as you said yesterday, I really stuck my neck out when I said that Yes Bank could be a stock to buy at this price, and then we had another exit news hitting us in the evening. But that's what I reckon. I think that when you do, sort of to pull a little bit of a parallel. If you remember, even when Infosys was looking for a new management, there was all this talk and uncertainty. Stock was beaten down. And then, there was this whole news of Mr. Murthy stepping down, and that time you sort of got a feeling that they're very close to choosing a new person, and that's when Mr. Sikka had stepped in, and then, the stock recovered from there. So yes, Yes Bank is no Infosys, but at the same time, I do think that, when you start hearing things like this, it means that we're getting closer to the end rather than, sort of the beginning. So, unfortunately, the stock is much lower than what I had recommended it at yesterday. But as you said, I think that it's a stock that you should stay put in.
Sharmila, very quickly, if I look at the 1 month chart, I see that, if I look exactly 30 days back, the stock was at a particular level. It fell, and then it recovered somewhat, and then now it's back because of the latest exits that we've seen. For somebody who's looking to enter into the stock, perhaps for the long term, should they wait till January to get clarity as to who's coming in and then take a call? Or would you say that it's a good opportunity to buy based on fundamentals?
I think you start nibbling, because I think that what this event from last evening has proven is without doubt that it's very difficult to go all out and buy a stock. So you start buying because, yes, I think fundamentally, given the kind of numbers that they've given, the stock looks good, but there could be, this period of uncertainty that could put the stock, or the delivery selling also has been fairly high. So you need to sort of ride that out. So I think start buying, but start buying slowly.
All right. With that, we move on to a bunch of other queries as well. And I'm going to take one up on YouTube. We do have one from Joby Elias, and Joby is holding Bharat Gear, and he actually wants a long-term view on Bharat Gear. Can we pull up Bharat Gear? If I'm not mistaken, this is an auto ancillary company, and it's not a very liquid stock. It's declining by 2% today at around 175. Sharmila, do you track this one? If you have any views on Bharat Gear, and if not, anything else that you like in the ancillary space?
No, I'm afraid I don't really track Bharat Gears, but yes, I think there are a whole host of stocks. I used to always like Motherson Sumi, but they've not really had a very great performance in the near term. But I think definitely that's one stock that you can look at. I think you can also look at some of the battery companies. I like Excite within that space. So these could be two other alternate stocks within the ancillary space.
Okay, Sapna, I think that somewhat answers your question on Motherson Sumi. It is, by the way, up about 4% in trade today. We did get a question, Agam, from Sahir on Twitter, and he had a very interesting question from a strategy point of view, and I hope that Sharmila will be able to help him out. He says that he's got 25 shares in his portfolio, and ITC is one of those shares, but ITC is the bulk of that holding. So 50% of his portfolio is ITC. He bought ITC at 210 levels, so he's in the green, he's comfortable. I believe it's, I think, much before the year. So 52-week high is, or low is much higher, in fact, than 210 from what I can see. So he's in the green. He's asking Sharmila if this is the appropriate strategy, if he should have such a large exposure to one entity and ITC.
Well, it's not, this is a really difficult question because, everybody has a different way of maximizing their return. And as such, ITC is a stock that I like. I also, as a disclosure, own ITC. And within the FMCG space, you could argue that it is one of the in terms of valuations, one of the cheaper stocks that is out there at this point in time. All that said, there are a couple of what I would say drawbacks to this kind of a strategy. One is that I think you need to be a little diversified. You should have at least, I think, between 10 to 20 stocks in your portfolio. And yes, I think within then you can reshuffle and have a large exposure because, that's ultimately, if that bet pays off, then you will make much better returns on your portfolio. But I would suggest that, you need to have a fairly good weightage even on at least 5-6 other stocks within your portfolio. So, all your bets are not hedged in one basket. And even I think as far as ITC is concerned, I think my concern here is that, at the end of the day, globally, if you look at it, cigarettes is a bit of a dated business. So I think for ITC also, they've been trying to grow their other businesses, but they aren't contributing significantly enough to their bottom line. So that's something that I'm waiting for, and I stay invested in ITC. It's a stock I like. But these could be two things that you could consider, and I really do think that you need to have at least 10 to 15 stocks in your portfolio.
Okay. Well, let's take a short-term query. Ananta Venkatakrishnan has written a list of stocks. Now, Ananta, unfortunately, we don't have, or Dyaneshwar doesn't have coverage on two of the stocks that you mentioned, but we can get you a view on L&T Technology and L&T Infotech. You're asking which of these is the better stock to take in the short term, and what are the levels that you can watch out for?
Yeah, Alex, if you look at the L&T technology stock, so recently we have seen that the stock is moving in a clear uptrend, and in a current market situation, it is unfolded into the corrective pattern. And recently we can see that on a daily time frame chart, the intermediate trend line support placed near about 1500 level. So one can go along at the current market price, keep a stop loss of 1490 on a closing basis for an initial leg of up towards the 1600. And if you talk about the L&T Infotech, so L&T Infotech, these stocks is also moving in a clear uptrend, and recently it is unfolded into the corrective pattern, but where the recent bottom formation has been done in the level of 1585, so that could be a great buying opportunity.
All right. Of course, viewers have to understand that these are two totally different companies.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, one is an IT company and the other one is a technology services company. So that belongs to the capital goods sector. That said, I'm going to move on to the next one. Sharmila, the next one is for you. I would say the easy part of the question is Ashok wants to invest 10 lakhs in the stock markets and he wants two stocks. The hard part of the question is that he wants both these stocks to grow 5 times in the next 5 years. Now, this one is to you, and you can answer it however you want it.
Well, I'm not going to answer that because very honestly, there is no way I can say that the stock is going to grow 5 times because I think that's too difficult a call to take. But I think that yes, if you do want to invest 10 lakhs, it's a great time to be investing, and perhaps you should pick 4 or 5 stocks. Once again, do a staggered buying, and I would include all really frontline stocks at this point in time. And but I'm assuming he's not that kind of an investor. He probably has all the frontline stocks. But that said, I think to just answer the question, I would probably pick one pharma in there, maybe a Sun Pharma, one IT company. I like actually either an HCL Tech or a Tech Mahindra at this price. I would include one FMCG, maybe an ITC or an HUL. I like Dabur also at this point in time. So yes, I think there are a couple of names in there which could become over 5-6 years, which have the potential to become multi-baggers from current prices. But that's not something that one is supposed to say in terms of guaranteeing any 5 times sort of return.
All right, so potential is all that our experts can talk about usually. Hemant Surana has got a question on one of the stocks, in fact, that Sharmila just mentioned, Dabur, but he's asking whether it can be bought at the current level for the short term, and obviously he would want to know the levels that he has to watch out for.
Yeah, if you look at the overall chart structure of Dabur, so recently it is moving in a lower bottom formation, and it has managed to take a support around 360. But if you look at the oscillators like an RSI, so RSI is clearly indicating some cautiousness because where I am seeing that the RSI is making new high, but price is not making new high. So it is an hidden divergence we are getting on the Dabur. So traders should be cautious. If bulls manage to take out the 410, 420 level, so then only we can enter into this stock.
Okay, here's another short-term query coming in on your end, Dyanesh. We have one on Motherson Sumi. Now, again, this one will be a tough one to call because of so much volatility that we've seen over the previous few days. But do remember, we have seen the stock slide after it announced its recent bonus. From the levels of around 170, 175, if I'm not mistaken, it's come down. It was at 143 yesterday, and it has moved back above the mark of 150. And Dyanesh, we don't just have a question from Abhinash. There are a whole host of other viewers who want a short-term view on this. So what would you suggest they should do?
See, if you go for a short-term view, yes, of course, the stock is clearly moving in a downtrend, and it has given a negative impulsive wave. But if you look at the overall long-term chart structure, if you can go to the monthly chart, so we are facing some trend line intermediate support near about 140, 145 level. So those who are brave-hearted can enter into the stock, keep a stop loss of 10 rupees on a closing basis, and they may probably see the rally towards the 180 level also.
Okay. And the other short-term query is on Hexaware. If we can pull up Hexaware once again on the screens before I can go to Dyaneshwar on this one. It's at 308. Now, again, it doesn't always move in tandem with the IT industry, but this time it is. It is down around 2.4% right now. It's at around 308. What's your suggestion here?
Yeah, Hexaware, it is already given a downward move, and the recent chart structure suggests that the oscillators are giving the divergence, that is a positive divergence. So going short is not a right bet because risk reward ratio is not favorable.
Right.
Anytime you can probably see the short covering in this counter.
All right.
Okay, so this is an interesting query, and I think I'm going to try and club this with some of the other queries that we've got in the NBFC space. Shivakumar is asking for one mid-cap NBFC stock. Now, you've seen several of these names that have gotten battered, especially in the HFC space. And we've got another question, in fact, on DHFL, Dewan Housing Finance, and whether or not it makes sense to buy at current levels. Sharmila, we've spoken about this. What really is the deal, and how long do you wait? Dewan Housing down about 5% today as well.
Yes, so I mean, can I recommend some stock other than the one housing?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think I prefer LIC Housing Finance within that space. That's also a stock that has corrected significantly. I think that there is slightly sort of less risk in terms of some of the issues that are supposed suspected to have gone wrong with some of the other HFCs. So that's a stock I like, and I think yes, there will be a bit of a challenge in terms of earnings over the next couple of quarters, and you do have to wait for that recovery to come in the in the real estate as a sector, which is something that you're not really witnessing in the metros as of now. But the general expectation over there is that if you read real estate sort of reports, is that you will start seeing that recovery from 2019, 2020, from mid of 2019 sort of. So I think then in that scenario, you would expect LIC housing to do better because in any case, a lot of good has been done for affordable housing. So that will start playing out. My stock stock of choice within that space would be LIC housing.
Okay, we take the next one up, and the next one is also a WhatsApp query from Vijay. He has actually a whole host of stocks when he wants a one-year target. Now, Vijay, I'm not certain if our analysts will be able to give you a target on each and every one of them, but I'm going to try this out anyways. And Dyaneshwar, if you can help us out. The first one is South Indian Banks. Let's pull up South Indian Bank here on the screen while Dyaneshwar can take a look at how that's trending. So that's at around 14.4. The next one is Nesco. And again, Nesco is not a very liquid stock. It's not always that we see a lot of movement here, but it's currently down 2% at 449. And then there is Andhra Sugar. And I'm going to actually restrict the list of stocks to only these three. That's one at that 365. So again, so we have the rates for all three. Dyaneshwar, your best pick among these three. I know these stocks are not very, very actively traded, but if you had a suggestion to make for a one-year target.
Yeah, from these three stocks, I would go for Nesco because recently we have seen that the overall chart structure of Nesco on a higher time frame because it is for a longer term view. So on a higher time frame, stock is moving in a clear uptrend and it is taking intermediate trend line support near about 400, 450 odd level. So you can get entered into the Nesco.
All right, there you have it. Well, Nesco is your best bet, and well, that's where the preference is, Alex.
All right, I'm going to leave Siddharth's query to you on YouTube. Because you will be able to put this in context. I'm going to take another one because I think a lot of people are asking about Ashok Leyland, and though we've talked about this in the recent past, I'm interested in hearing what Sharmila has to say about this stock. Sharmila, it's taken quite the beating. It's down at about 105. And the recent, obviously, update is because of Mr. Dasari's decision to step down. How do you look at this particular counter? There are some people who've said that the company has very good fundamentals, a lot of things that should be going well for it, and say that it's a good bet for the long term. Do you hold with that view?
Yeah, I would agree. I think in a sense that parallel can be drawn, not in the strictest sense, but with what is happening with Yes Bank, because there is concern about what the leadership is going to be only in that context. But yes, I think yes, Ashok Leyland is on a much stronger wicket because numbers are good, and very honestly, they've done many things internally to make their balance sheet better, which is probably why the market has not liked this news much. Because obviously, somebody who has steered the company through a slightly difficult phase, and when the company is doing well, when you see that exit, market doesn't like it, and it's very clear that market doesn't like uncertainty. So maybe you could again see some near-term pressure on Ashok Leyland continue for a bit till some clarity emerges. But yes, I think given the fact that their overall performance and sales has been so strong. I think this stock has a longer-term target of closer to 135, 140. So I would like the stock at this price.
Okay, well, we have the next query, and this one's from Siddharth Rawat. He says that he's shorted 5 lots of Jubilant Foodworks at 1220. Well, Siddharth, good job. You've already made 30 points. And he says that he's covered 3, and there are still 2 positions remaining. What should be done? So, Dyaneshwar, I'm going to direct this to you. Should he hold on to the position, or should he actually book profits right now and get out of here?
No, actually, he should hold on to the position because as per the charts, I've seen that the as RSI is moving towards the northern trajectory and it is making new top, but price is not making new top, so that would be an hidden divergence. So he can keep a stop loss of, he can revise his stop loss to cost, that is at 1120. That would be a very strong resistance for the stocks, and if it is stock managed to take out the 1160 level, probably we may see the fall towards the 1100 or 1080 level also. So he can keep revise stop loss to cost.
All right, so interesting query coming in, very short but still interesting. Sarvajit Srivastav is asking about Oberoi Realty, and I'm very interested in finding out, Sharmila, what you have to say about this counter and broadly about the real estate theme. Would you recommend playing that just in the run up to the elections? It's a sector that usually gets buzzing just after, I would think.
Well, I would agree, and very honestly, I don't have any recommendations on real estate stocks per se, simply because I think that there are many sort of things which are in the grey area over there in terms of land acquisition, and you do find there have been corporate governance issues on some of the stocks, etc. So you don't really get a great sense of comfort unless you know a company really well, and I don't know much about Oberoi Realty from that perspective. So I've always chosen to play the proxy rule and buy the paint companies, buy the housing finance companies, buy the tile companies, because it is obviously when you're talking of a better GDP and a better growth, it is obviously a sector that would do well, especially I think some of the real estate companies which are which have a more regional focus, especially in the south, etc., have done significantly better than those which are only concentrated in the metros. But that said, I prefer to do the proxy route, and I really have more recommendations in, as I said, like you can buy a Berger Paint, or you can buy a Pidilite, or you can buy LIC Housing Finance, and in that form take an exposure to real estate.
Okay, Sharmila, if you can come in, and I was wondering if you're following the Monsanto-Bayer crop merger story, because we do have a question there from Mayank Saraf, and he wants a fundamental view here. If not that one, is there any other, a pesticide company or crop protection company that you're following that you might want to recommend to Mayank?
Yes, I do like Bayer crop, but I'm not following the merger story per se. And I think Monsanto also, the concern is, the kind of stories one hears, especially for the global, in terms of the litigations, etc. So, that sort of causes a bit of a concern, because, all these BT cotton hydrate and that whole genetic space and everything that's happening there. Globally, I think, things are much more sort of different than how we perceive it in India. So Bayer crop, I think, is Bayer crop is a stock like I like. I think another stock that you can look at is Dhanuka, Dhanuka Agritech. What's it called? Yeah, so that could be another stock that you could look at. And I think in the more traditional fertilizer play, maybe a GSFC or something.
Very quickly, I want to take a short-term query because I think this is time-sensitive. Manam Varangal has gone short on DHFL, 235 for the intraday. What should his strategy be? It's currently at 233, down about 4%.
Yeah, for an intraday perspective, we have seen that the yesterday's move and today the stock has fallen down, and recently it is down by 4.5%. So I would suggest to keep a stop loss of 238 for an intraday, for an initial leg of down move towards the 227, because 227 and 245 would be the range in the DHFL is moving.
Okay, well, it is time for our rapid fire segment. So I'd like to remind experts and request them actually to keep their answers as short as possible so as to accommodate as many queries as possible. So Sharmila, the next one is on Tata Motors. It's up to you. Sunil Chahal wants a view here. What would you do with Tata Motors right now?
I'd have Tata Motor DVR. I have a recommendation on that, and I think you can continue to hold.
Jain Irrigation, Gopal Dhoot wants to know about what he should do. He's bought 800 shares at 67.
Trendline support placed near 70, so he should keep a stop loss of 70. Intermediate trendline support placed near 70.
Okay. Raja Krishnappa Hanumappa wants to know what's a good entry price for Godrej consumer products? Can we pull that up? In the meantime, I can also ask Dyaneshwar to address this one. It's currently at 714. Dyaneshwar?
Godrej consumer product, recently we have seen that the sideways consolidation, so good entry point would be at 660, 650 level.
Radish Shah wants to know the fundamental view on Greaves Cotton. Sharmila, would you recommend a fresh entry for the long term?
No, not really, because I think this is it's a steady sort of a company in the sense the earnings etc. are on a steady wicket. But I think that in a time like this, when you're getting fairly good even mid-cap stocks at decent prices, I would really look at stocks outside Greaves Cotton.
Okay, we have a question on pre-call as well. So if I can address this to Dyaneshwar. Dyaneshwar, your view on pre-call is trading at around 49.75. Doesn't look like a very liquid one.
Yeah, as we have seen that on the chart, it is not clearly observed and moving into the clear lower top, lower bottom formation. So this is not the right touch. So someone has entered into the stock, get exit from the stocks.
Okay, fair enough. Next one, IDFC Bank, Sharmila. How would you look at this particular bank merger story and all of that included?
Well, I've honestly been disappointed because I had expected, when as a new bank they do a lot better than they've done. So once again, I think the current market is affording you an opportunity to switch to some other stocks. I would really take that opportunity to switch, maybe buy a DCB bank instead.
Okay.
All right, well, there you have it, guys. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, so I'm going to take a moment to thank both our experts, Sharmila as well as Dyaneshwar, for helping our viewers with all their queries. And, that's all that we have on this edition of Ask PQ.
Absolutely, but do remember, we're just a tweet, post, or call away. Do keep your queries coming in. That's the last show that we have for you this week, but we'll be back next week on Monday, same time, to take all of your queries, perhaps some of the queries that we missed today. You can log on to the website and search for the hashtag AskPQ to find all the episodes from the past days that we've done. Some of those questions are still relevant even today. Thanks so much for watching. This is Bloomberg Quint. Up next is Power Lunch.
Good news, got a promotion and a